Unfortunately, PFF's Black Friday sale is no longer going on, but we have a brand new discount to give you guys right now. That is a 30% off discount this holiday season with the promo code HOLIDAY30 to get 30% off a PFF Plus subscription. You get access to our player prop tool that can help you make back whatever you pay for PFF Plus and then some. It can also help you win a fantasy football championship this year. You get the same grades and analytics that every single NFL team uses and every single college football team uses as well. And you get access to the best mock draft simulator on the planet for the 2026 NFL draft. Again, Holiday 30 to get 30% off a PFF Plus subscription right now. Another school, Dalton, that has to replace his coach after the year, but still has him for the playoff, is James Madison, who's most likely now, because Duke won the ACC title, the Dukes are most likely going to the college football playoff with a 31-14 win over Troy in the Sun Belt Championship game. James Madison's first conference title since joining the FBS in 2022. Let's go over the highest grade players. Starting off with James Madison Dukes. Sahir West, what a game for him. I'll talk about him in just a second. 92.6 grade for the edge rusher. Xavier Holmes, another edge rusher, 81.9. Safety Tyler Brown, 79.3. Running back Wayne Knight, also 79.3. Trent Hendrick, the linebacker, 77.5. And the quarterback Alonzo Barnett III, 76.6. For Troy, their highest grade players in the loss. Jamal Williams, the edge rusher, 73.8. D-tackle Cam Curry, 73.2. Jaquez White, the corner, 72.3. Julian Peterson, the D-tackle, 71.1. David Daniel Sisifan, the safety, 69.7. And Goose Crowder, 78.1, was the highest graded player for the Trojans. Dalton, what's the story in the Sun Belt title game?
James Madison, their defensive line dominated this game from start to finish. I mean, the number one stat I have among many is a 61.7% pass rush win rate. And for as great as this JMU defense has been all year, that is their best pass rush win rate this year against an FCS opponent. 81.4 pass rush grade as a team, their second best this season. 42.5% pressure rate, third best this year. 8 sacks for this defensive line. Just for the D-line, 81.1 pass rush grade, 76.9 rushing grade, and you're going to mention the rushing difference here in a second, but this defensive line, they control the whole game in the trenches, and despite some offensive struggles, especially the struggles of Barnett to throw the football, Troy was just so inconsistent on offense. Good second quarter, both their touchdowns in the second quarter, but otherwise they were just shut down in the trenches. I mentioned James Madison's secondary being a story coming into this game, but coming out of it, it was the dominance of guys like West and Holmes on their defensive line that they just absolutely killed Troy's offensive line all day. So Goose Crowder, before he got hurt, he had to play perfect football to find a way to score, but eventually the trenches were the biggest difference in this game. JMU's D-line, best unit on the field.
I'll shout out my most impressive right now then, Sahir West, because he was unreal against Troy. And as I mentioned before, he had a 90-plus PFF grade. Redshirt freshman, too, so a name to know right now. 92.6 grade, over 10 points higher than anything else he's done in his career. This guy had 4 sacks and 7 pressures on 38 pass rushing snaps in this game with a 26% pass rush win rate and a 90 pass rushing grade. He also had an 83.5 run defense grade with 4 run defense stops and 3 tackles for loss or no gain on only 13 run defense snaps. We're talking about a guy that had 4 run defense stops, 3 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 7 pressures. Incredible game from Sahir West, only a redshirt freshman in one of the biggest games, maybe the biggest game of the year for James Madison. Now an 83.1 PFF grade on the year. Listen, and I know Bob Chesley's leaving to go to UCLA. They need help on that defensive line. If Bob Chesley's smart, and he is a very smart coach because he's got that job, I would look at Sahir West and say, hey, buddy, why don't you come with me to UCLA? They need this kind of guy, man. And this is a guy that, honestly, we'll see what happens in the portal, and maybe he sticks around and plays for Billy Napier. But if he does enter the transfer portal, Zahir West is an underrated name to know with how young he is, how good he's been as a redshirt freshman, and how freaking dominant this kid was in the Sun Belt title game. So again, if I'm Bob Chesney and I'm going to UCLA with how bad their defensive line was this year, I'm looking at Zahir West and saying, hey, man, come with me to UCLA, and we'll get you, hopefully, on track to be an NFL player.
Shout out, too, to Xavier Holmes on the other side, tying a season high with 6 pressures, 3 sacks in this game, the transfer in, a fifth-year guy from Maine. This, again, you talk about the number of guys on this defensive line that played well in this game. It was unbelievable, the dominance in the trenches they had, but the dominance from West and Holmes, especially off the edges, that really made a huge difference here.
Who do you want to shout out in this win for James Madison?
Look, for me, it's going to be the running back, Wayne Knight. And this was a game where James Madison really struggled to throw the football. Troy's secondary was on it. Alonzo Barnett really was not comfortable in the pocket all night, and they made him beat them from the pocket. He just couldn't do it. But Wayne Knight, who's really emerged as the season has gone on as their star tailback, coming into the year, I really thought it would be George Pettaway who was going to carry this backfield. But Knight in this game, 82.9 rushing grade, 21 carries, 212 yards, 163 of those yards after contact. They needed their workhorse back to have his best game of the season with the way they were struggling in the passing game. Outstanding, 8 missed tackles forced, 5 explosive runs. The run game for James Madison carried their offense. It was a slow burn for sure. They got 2 late touchdowns there, but it was awesome to see Wayne Knight have his best game of the year on the biggest stage for them when playoff hopes were on the line on Friday night.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually have someone in the chat, Dalton. I'm sure Texas Tech fans saying Zahir West is going to look good in Lubbock. That's the guy. I'm sure.
Don't they all? Man.
Who is it? Cody Campbell's the billionaire?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's probably watching Sun Belt games. Like, all right, man, I might make a pretty sweet NIL offer to
yeah, he's just sitting there.
running checks out there.
Let me just write down names on these checks.
They brought in a 5-star edge rusher, a 5-star offensive tackle. This is a Texas Tech team building through the trenches. I'm sure Cody Campbell's probably looking at Zahir West in that win, too. Andrew Harbaugh asking Dalton, what passing grade did the students get on the snowball tosses in this game?
Boy, well,
probably 95 plus, I would say. They're pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, the problem, we do downgrade you for penalties. Did they get called for a penalty?
They got warned. No, they got warned.
They got a warning. Okay, they were all over it then, man. I mean, it was it's always a thing. You usually see that sort of thing in the NFL and Buffalo and places like that, but JMU fans, man,
they were nailing that poor punter.
Yeah,
I mean, they showed a replay. Like, that punter got hit like 3 times by snowballs.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. You know, it's whether it's tortillas down there in Lubbock or it's snowballs in Virginia or whatever else you might be. They're just college kids, man. You just can't stop them from throwing things.
I mean, great performance
really
but honestly, great performance by James Madison's fan base for going to the point where you don't get a penalty and not crossing over that line, but getting right to that point and just making sure that Troy feels like, hey, we're here now.
Well, there's something too, just rattling, rattling a team early in the game.
Like, not hurting your team by getting a penalty, but like, hey, just letting you know we're here.
It was, this snowballs. I'm sure we'll see it in the NFL at some point this week.
Yeah.
I know those lunatics up there in Buffalo are going to be doing it at some point.
Definitely. Big win for James Madison. And like I said before, because Duke won the ACC for the first time ever, we're most likely going to get 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff with 12-1 James Madison and 11-2 Tulane. I believe both of them will get in, considering they both were ranked going into the weekend. Duke was not ranked going into the weekend. I believe they will put in 12-1 James Madison over 8-5 Duke, but I can't speak for the committee. We'll get that answer later on in the show. Only about an hour away now from the committee's final bracket reveal.